Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to hear me with your heart, not just your ears, because what I'm about to declare is not an ordinary word. It's a divine appointment with your destiny. December 5th, 2025 is not just another date on a calendar. It is a prophetic moment, a turning point, a divine interruption where everything you've been waiting for, everything you've been praying for, and everything you've been struggling through will suddenly begin to fall into place. December 5, 2025 is a divine turning point because it represents more than the flipping of a calendar page or the passing of another ordinary day. It symbolizes the moment when heaven and earth meet in alignment to bring forth destiny. A turning point is not always announced with trumpets or fireworks. Often it is hidden in the quiet movement of time, unnoticed by many, but carrying eternal significance for those who are attentive to the voice of God. When a divine turning point arrives, everything in your life that once seemed scattered, broken, or delayed begins to shift into place with divine precision. It is the day when prayers that felt unanswered suddenly manifest, when opportunities that seemed lost are restored, and when clarity replaces confusion. December 5, 2025 is being marked as such a day, not because of superstition or chance, but because it has been set apart as a prophetic signal that a season of preparation is giving way to a season of fulfillment. The beauty of a divine turning point is that it comes after a season of waiting, struggle, and refining. Many people grow weary in the process, believing that delay is denial and that unanswered prayers mean God has forgotten them. Yet, divine timing is never early and never late. It is perfect. Everything you have endured, the disappointments, the closed doors, the betrayals, the nights of tears, has been working behind the scenes to prepare you for what is coming. A turning point does not negate your past. It redeems it. Every setback becomes a stepping stone, every pain becomes part of the preparation, and every closed door proves to have been divine protection. December 5, 2025 carries the weight of this truth, that nothing in your journey has been wasted, and the pieces of your life that look disconnected are about to converge into a greater purpose. When God marks a day as a divine turning point, it is not about the number or the date itself, but about the alignment of His will with your readiness. This means that what you have been preparing for in faith is about to meet the appointed time of manifestation. Think of it as two rivers finally merging into one powerful current. On December 5, 2025, many will look back and realize that the struggles of the past years were not random chaos, but necessary preparation for the breakthrough that arrives in that moment. A divine turning point is when the invisible hand of God becomes visible in your life, orchestrating circumstances, shifting relationships, and opening doors that no human effort could open. It is a reminder that destiny is never in the control of people or situations, but always in the sovereign hands of God. What makes this particular date so significant is the promise that it is a moment of alignment where everything begins to fall into place. For years you may have felt as if you were building something with missing pieces, or walking a road that seemed endless without a clear destination. But a turning point is like the final piece of a puzzle clicking into position. Suddenly, the picture makes sense. Suddenly, the journey feels worth it. Suddenly, the dots connect, and you understand why certain doors had to close and why certain people had to leave. December 5, 2025 becomes the day when the invisible becomes visible and the impossible becomes possible. It is important to recognize that A divine turning point is not passive. It is not about sitting back and waiting for miracles to fall into your lap. It requires alignment with God's will, obedience to His direction, and faith to step into what He has prepared. A turning point demands that you shed old mindsets, let go of bitterness, and embrace a posture of expectation. God may set the date, but you must prepare the heart. You cannot walk into a new season carrying the baggage of the old. On December 5, 2025, the opportunity will present itself, but those who are ready in spirit will be the ones to fully receive it. A divine turning point also carries generational significance. It is not only about your personal destiny, but about the ripple effect it will create for those connected to you. When God shifts your path, it impacts your family, your community, and even future generations. The decision you make to embrace the turning point can release blessings far beyond your own lifetime. December 5, 2025 holds the promise of being one such moment where the choices you make and the faith you hold onto can create a legacy of transformation for years to come. This turning point is also a reminder that destiny is not controlled by human limitations. People may have written you off. Circumstances may have looked impossible, and your own doubts may have whispered defeat. Yet, when God marks a date, no opposition can cancel it. His word is final. His timing is perfect. His power is unstoppable. December 5, 2025 will silence every doubt and prove that His plans are higher, His wisdom deeper, and His purpose unshakable. It will be the moment when heaven declares that your waiting season has ended and your season of fulfillment has begun. Delays are not denials, because what often feels like God withholding something from you is in reality God preparing you for what He has already promised. In life, we all encounter moments when prayers seem unanswered, opportunities slip through our fingers, and doors that look promising suddenly close. In those moments, it is easy to conclude that we have been rejected or forgotten, but the truth is that delay is one of the greatest tools of divine preparation. When something you desire does not come in the time frame you expect, it does not mean it will never come. It means that the timing is not yet aligned. The pieces are not yet in place, and your capacity to handle the blessing is still being developed. A delay is God's way of ensuring that when the moment arrives, you are not just positioned to receive it, but equipped to sustain it. Think of a farmer planting seeds in a field. The moment the seed goes into the ground, the process of growth begins, but the harvest does not appear overnight. There is waiting involved. There is watering involved. There is nurturing involved. The seed is not dead. It is developing beneath the soil, unseen to the human eye. Many people give up during the season of waiting because they cannot see progress. But in reality, growth is happening beneath the surface. That is exactly how delays operate in life. You may not see visible results, but something is happening behind the scenes. God is working in ways you cannot see, arranging circumstances, aligning people, and shaping you into the person who will not just enter into your destiny, but thrive in it. Delays are also a test of character and faith. When what you long for does not arrive on your timeline, it reveals whether you trust God's plan or whether you rely only on your own understanding. Faith is not proven in the moments of instant answers. It is proven in the waiting. The ability to hold on to hope, to remain obedient, and to continue believing in the face of silence is what shapes spiritual maturity. If every prayer was answered immediately, faith would not be required. but it is the tension of delay that strengthens endurance and builds resilience. Every great destiny requires this kind of testing ground. Without it, the weight of the blessing might crush you rather than elevate you. Consider the stories of those who carried great destinies. Joseph had a dream of greatness, yet he endured years of slavery and imprisonment before stepping into leadership. David was anointed king, yet he spent years running for his life before sitting on the throne. Even Abraham, called the father of nations, waited decades before the promise of his son Isaac came to pass. In each case, the delay was not denial. It was the training ground where faith was refined, character was tested, and trust in God was solidified. The fulfillment came at the right time, not the desired time, and when it did, it carried a weight of glory that could not have been achieved without the season of waiting. Delays also serve as protection. Many times, what you are asking for is not bad, but it is not yet the right time. If you were to receive it prematurely, it might overwhelm you, distract you, or even destroy you. A parent does not give a child a car simply because they ask. The parent waits until the child has matured enough to handle the responsibility. Likewise, God withholds certain blessings until He knows you are prepared for the responsibility they carry. What feels like God saying no is often God saying not yet. That pause is not rejection but mercy, ensuring that when the door opens, you walk through it with wisdom, maturity, and strength. In the midst of delay, it is important to remember that God is not slow. He operates according to divine timing, not human calendars. What feels late to you is right on schedule in heaven. The timing of your breakthrough is perfectly aligned with your purpose, your preparation, and the broader plan God is weaving together. The delay ensures that when your blessing comes, it arrives in fullness, not in fragments. It will not be something you grasp for and struggle to keep, but something that flows into your life at the precise moment it was destined to arrive. So when you find yourself waiting longer than expected, do not despair. Do not assume that silence means denial. Understand that in the economy of God, delay is often the clearest sign that He is working on something bigger, deeper, and better than you imagine. What looks like a setback is setting you up for something greater. What feels like rejection is really redirection. And what seems like an endless pause is actually a process of preparation that ensures when your moment comes, you will not only receive the promise, but carry it with strength, maturity, and lasting impact. Alignment with God is the key because every person has been created with a unique purpose, and that purpose can only be fulfilled when life is in harmony with the will of the Creator. Alignment means to come into agreement with God's direction, His timing, and His principles. It is about making Him the center rather than trying to build life around self-driven ambitions or human desires. Many people struggle with frustration, confusion, and unfulfilled dreams, not because they lack talent, resources, or opportunity, but because they are out of alignment with the One who holds their destiny. When a car is misaligned, it cannot drive straight no matter how much fuel it has. In the same way, when life is misaligned with God, no amount of effort, striving, or ambition can bring true peace, fulfillment, or lasting success. To be aligned with God is to recognize that He is the source of wisdom, strength, and guidance. Human plans, no matter how well thought out, are limited, but God sees the end from the beginning. He knows where each road leads, what each choice produces, and what each opportunity carries. Alignment requires surrender, the willingness to lay down personal agendas and to embrace His will even when it contradicts our own desires. This surrender is not weakness but strength, because it connects you to divine direction that can never fail. The difference between wandering aimlessly and walking purposefully is alignment. The person aligned with God does not waste energy chasing every open door, because they understand that not every door is meant to be walked through. Alignment gives discernment, clarity, and the ability to recognize the path that leads to destiny rather than distraction. Alignment also determines the flow of blessings. God is generous and willing to pour out His favor, but He will not pour blessings into places that are outside His will. It is like standing under a waterfall. As long as you remain under it, you are drenched. But if you step away, the flow does not stop. It is just that you are no longer positioned to receive it. In the same way, God's presence, favor, and power flow where His will is being honored. To be aligned with Him is to remain positioned under the flow of His provision and protection. This does not mean life will be without challenges, but it does mean that in every challenge there will be grace, strength, and divine intervention. Alignment with God also shapes character. It is not only about what you receive from Him, but who you become in Him. Walking in alignment requires obedience, humility, and faithfulness. It demands consistency in prayer, discipline in thought, and integrity in actions. Without alignment, a person may still achieve temporary success, but it will lack depth, peace, and eternal significance. Alignment ensures that success is not only external, but internal, not only measured in material gain, but in lasting impact and legacy. It shapes you into someone who is trustworthy with responsibility and able to carry destiny without being destroyed by it. Another aspect of alignment is timing. You may have the right dream, but the wrong timing, and stepping ahead of God can lead to unnecessary pain. Alignment means trusting His timing and not forcing doors open prematurely. It requires patience to wait when everything in you wants to run, and courage to move when everything in you wants to wait. Divine timing is perfect, and when you are aligned with it, you will find that opportunities come effortlessly, relationships fall into place, and resources arrive just when they are needed. Striving is replaced with peace, and frustration is replaced with assurance, because you know that your steps are ordered by God. Alignment with God also produces power. When you are in alignment, you do not walk in your own strength, but in His authority. Obstacles that seemed immovable begin to shift. Enemies that once intimidated lose their power, and challenges that looked impossible turn into testimonies. Alignment gives access to divine backing, where heaven itself supports your assignment. It is not about being the most skilled or the most intelligent, but about being positioned in the right place at the right time under the right covering. In the end, alignment is the foundation of destiny. Without it, talent becomes wasted, effort becomes scattered, and purpose remains unfulfilled. With it, even the smallest steps carry weight, even the quietest seasons bear fruit, and even the hardest struggles produce glory. To be aligned with God is to ensure that life is not built on chance or human strength, but on eternal purpose. And it is in that place of alignment that true peace, power, and destiny are unlocked. Transformation before blessings is a principle that reveals how God always prepares a person internally before He entrusts them with external rewards. Many people desire breakthroughs, success, opportunities, and open doors, but often overlook the process of being shaped into the kind of person who can handle those blessings without being destroyed by them. A blessing is not simply a gift, it is a responsibility, and without transformation of the heart, mind, and character, blessings can easily become burdens. God is more interested in who you are becoming than in what you are receiving, because true success is sustained not by possessions or positions, but by character and maturity. Transformation is the process of change, growth, and refining that takes place before blessings are released. It is the season when God works on your thinking, your habits, your attitudes, and your perspective. Sometimes it involves stripping away pride, healing old wounds, or breaking unhealthy patterns that could sabotage your future. Other times it means learning patience, developing discipline, or building resilience in the face of trials. Transformation is not always comfortable, and it rarely feels glamorous. It can look like waiting longer than expected, enduring struggles that test your faith, or being placed in situations that stretch your capacity. Yet all of it is purposeful. The blessing is not delayed out of neglect, but held until you have been reshaped into the version of yourself who can carry it well. If blessings were given without transformation, they could lead to destruction. For example, financial prosperity without wisdom can result in waste and bondage. Influence without humility can turn into arrogance. Authority without compassion can create abuse. Success without discipline can end in collapse. Transformation ensures that when blessings come, they enhance your life rather than ruin it. It molds your character to handle responsibility, tempers your pride with humility, and replaces selfishness with stewardship. It is the unseen foundation that allows blessings to stand without crumbling. Throughout history, every person of great impact endured transformation before stepping into blessing. Joseph dreamed of leadership, but first endured betrayal, slavery, and prison so that his character would be ready for the palace. David was anointed king as a shepherd boy, but spent years on the run before he wore the crown, learning humility and reliance on God. Moses spent decades in the wilderness before leading Israel, being transformed from a man of impulsive anger to one of patience and dependence on divine guidance. Even in the life of Jesus, the wilderness of testing came before the fullness of his ministry, proving that preparation and transformation always precede manifestation. These examples remind us that the process is not punishment, but preparation. Transformation also teaches gratitude and stewardship. When you have walked through seasons of lack, you value abundance differently. When you have endured hardship, you appreciate peace in a deeper way. When you have overcome failure, you learn to walk carefully with success. The blessing becomes more than a gift, it becomes a trust. Transformation trains you to see blessings, not as trophies for personal glory, but as tools for fulfilling purpose and serving others. Without this perspective, blessings can easily turn into idols, distracting you from God rather than drawing you closer to Him. The process of transformation is also the place where faith is refined. Waiting on God when nothing seems to change develops. Trust in His timing. Facing obstacles that seem impossible develops perseverance. Learning to rely on God when resources are scarce builds dependency on His provision. All of these qualities prepare you for blessings, because blessings themselves often bring new pressures, challenges, and responsibilities. Without a foundation of strong faith, what was intended to lift you could instead overwhelm you. Transformation ensures that your faith is not in the blessing itself, but in the God who gives it. Ultimately, transformation before blessings highlights God's love and wisdom. He does not withhold blessings to punish, but to protect. He sees what you cannot see, and He knows the weight that blessings carry. Just as a parent would not hand car keys to a child before they are ready to drive, God does not release blessings until you are mature enough to handle them. The waiting season, the refining season, the transforming season is all part of His design to prepare you for greater things. It may feel like delay, but it is actually grace. It ensures that when blessings come, you are not only able to receive them, but to sustain them, multiply them, and use them in a way that fulfills your purpose and brings glory to God. Every great destiny requires a defining moment, because no life of purpose is ever fulfilled without a season where everything changes in an instant. A defining moment is a point in time when choices, circumstances, and divine timing converge to shape the future in ways that are irreversible. It is that critical juncture where the ordinary is left behind and the extraordinary begins. Every person created by God has within them a destiny, but destiny is not activated by mere existence. It is unlocked through moments that test courage, demand faith, and require decisions that set the course of life in a new direction. These moments do not always announce themselves with clarity or comfort. Sometimes they arrive disguised as challenges, crises, or opportunities that stretch you beyond your limits. But once they appear, how you respond determines whether you step into greatness or remain in mediocrity. A defining moment is not always about external recognition or public achievement. It often happens in private, in the hidden places where no one else sees. It could be the decision to forgive someone who wronged you deeply, breaking a cycle of bitterness that held you captive for years. It could be the choice to step out in faith toward a dream, even when fear screams that you are unqualified. It could be the moment when you decide to let go of an unhealthy relationship or habit so that you can step into the fullness of God's plan for your life. Great destinies are not built on convenience, but on the willingness to embrace defining moments that require sacrifice, courage, and trust in God's leading. Throughout history and Scripture, every person who fulfilled a great destiny encountered defining moments. Joseph's defining moment was not when he dreamed as a boy, but when he stood before Pharaoh and interpreted a vision that saved nations. David's defining moment was not only in his anointing, but in his decision to face Goliath when others shrank back in fear. Esther's defining moment came when she risked her life to approach the king and plead for her people. These moments were not random. They were orchestrated by God as turning points that moved individuals from preparation into manifestation. They remind us that destiny is not shaped by comfort zones, but by crossroads where faith overrides fear and obedience outweighs self-preservation. Defining moments also reveal character. They expose what lies within when pressure is applied. Anyone can dream of greatness, but destiny requires action at critical moments. A defining moment strips away excuses and demands clarity of choice. Will you choose faith over fear, obedience over compromise, perseverance over surrender? It is in these moments that the depth of your character is revealed and strengthened. Without defining moments, greatness remains theoretical. With them, it becomes reality. Another powerful truth about defining moments is that they are rarely convenient. They interrupt routines, challenge comfort, and arrive when you feel least ready. Yet that is the essence of destiny, It is not about when you feel prepared, but about when God knows the time is right. You may not recognize the significance of the moment while you are in it, but looking back, you realize it was the point where everything shifted. This is why it is so important to remain sensitive to God's voice and open to His leading. A defining moment missed is often an opportunity delayed, but a defining moment embraced becomes the foundation of legacy. Defining moments also carry generational impact. The choice you make in that critical season does not only affect your own destiny, but the lives of those connected to you. When Moses obeyed the call to confront Pharaoh, it was not just his destiny that changed, but the destiny of an entire nation. When Ruth chose to stay with Naomi instead of returning to her homeland, it positioned her to become part of the lineage of kings. Every defining moment is bigger than the individual. It is about the ripple effect it creates for families, communities, and future generations. Great destinies are not built in ease, but in moments of decision, testing, and transformation. The comfort zone never produces legacy. It is the defining moment, the courageous decision, the bold step of faith, the willingness to risk everything for obedience, that separates those who dream from those who fulfill destiny. And while these moments may come unexpectedly, they are always perfectly timed by God. They arrive to move you from one level to another, from waiting into walking, from preparation into purpose, from potential into fulfillment. They are the divine intersections where heaven and earth collide, demanding that you rise to the occasion and embrace the destiny for which you were created. Your destiny is in God's hands, not man's, because no human opinion, opposition, or limitation has the authority to cancel what God has already ordained for your life. Too often people believe that their future is determined by the decisions of others, by the systems of this world, or by the circumstances they are born into. While people can influence your journey, they cannot define or ultimately control your destiny. The one who created you is the one who designed your purpose, and He alone holds the power to bring it to fulfillment. This truth brings freedom because it removes the weight of trying to please everyone, win everyone's approval, or fear that someone's rejection can ruin your future. When your destiny is anchored in God, no one can block it, delay it permanently, or take it away. Throughout life, people may underestimate you, dismiss you, or even oppose you, but their words and actions do not rewrite the script God has already written. Joseph's brothers tried to destroy his dream by selling him into slavery, but instead of ending his destiny, their betrayal positioned him closer to it. David's family overlooked him when Samuel came to anoint a king, but the oil still flowed when God called his name. Daniel's enemies plotted against him, but their schemes only elevated him to greater influence. These stories remind us that when your destiny is in God's hands, even the worst intentions of people can become stepping stones toward fulfillment. What others mean for harm, God transforms for good, proving that no human hand can overturn what He has set in motion. Believing that destiny is in God's hands also shifts how you respond to setbacks and disappointments. When doors close, it does not mean that your future has been canceled. It simply means that God has something better, aligned with His plan. A missed opportunity is not the end of your story, because the author of your story is not limited to one door, one person, or one season. If someone rejects you, betrays you, or walks away, it cannot stop what God has ordained. Destiny is not fragile, subject to the whims of people, but unshakable because it rests in the sovereignty of God. Trusting this truth allows you to let go of bitterness, envy, and fear, and instead live with confidence that what belongs to you will come to you in God's perfect timing. When destiny is in God's hands, even the systems of the world cannot override it. You may face environments where favoritism, corruption, or injustice seem to hold power, but divine purpose is greater than human systems. A person overlooked by society can be chosen by God for greatness. A person disqualified by worldly standards can be empowered by grace to make history. Destiny is not about human credentials, but divine calling. The same God who raised shepherds to kings and fishermen to apostles still works through ordinary lives to accomplish extraordinary purposes. Human qualifications may open temporary doors, but divine calling establishes eternal impact. Your destiny being in God's hands also means that your past does not disqualify you. People may label you based on failures, mistakes, or where you came from, but God sees beyond what was to what can be. Moses was a fugitive before he became a deliverer. Rahab was known as a prostitute before she became part of the lineage of redemption. Paul persecuted believers before becoming an apostle who transformed nations. People may define you by your history, but God defines you by His purpose. Once He places His hand on your life, no past mistake, no human judgment, and no societal label can nullify what He has planned. This truth also demands faith and patience. If your destiny is in God's hands, then it will unfold in His timing, not yours. People may try to rush you or slow you down, but God's timeline is perfect. His delays are strategic, His seasons intentional, and His process necessary. Trusting Him requires surrendering the need for control and believing that He knows when and how to bring every promise to pass. Your responsibility is not to force the outcome, but to remain faithful, obedient, and aligned with His will. Ultimately, knowing that your destiny is in God's hands produces peace. You no longer have to fear who is for you or against you, because your future does not rest on their shoulders. You do not have to manipulate outcomes or compromise your values to gain favor, because the favor of God is greater than the favor of man. When the Creator of heaven and earth holds your destiny, you can walk with boldness, courage, and assurance, knowing that nothing and no one can stop what He has ordained.